I'm going to explain to you why boxing is so popular for people with Parkinson's. Maybe some of you watching are already in a boxing class and some are just curious, like, what is it about the boxing? I grew up with boxing, and so what I can tell you about it is I'm also a dancer. So boxing and dancing are very much alike, where you have to keep your feet away from each other. You have to be agile and be able to move in all directions very quickly. You also have to be able to rotate to keep your eyes and your brain engaged the whole time and be able to extend. So all of those things are in boxing. They're also in dance. So there's a lot of similarities, and that is why it's so great for Parkinson's. I would like to show you some of the basics. Now, we have full boxing classes with circuit and things are moving every 2 to 3 minutes. They're super fun, music, but I want to break it down because if I showed you one of those classes, you would get lost because we want to build you up. So here's the basics. First of all, with Parkinson's, it's different than normal aging, where normal aging really widens us out normally because we're trying to widen our base. But with Parkinson's, our feet start to come in neurologically, and that's why we start tripping over our own feet. So with boxing and dance, both of them, your feet are wide. So if you are a right-handed person, I'll just explain that way. Everything would be the reverse if you're left-handed, but you're gonna have your left foot facing forward and your back leg facing out just slightly. And you can see this line down here. Here's my foot, the back one is slightly splayed out, and that puts me in a really good base. Now, if I was squared up, I could fall backwards, but with this stance, I'm ready to move in any direction. So we're gonna start out with the foot part of this. Your hands, you're just gonna keep your hands up because you're gonna hear me say that a lot, keeping your hands up. If you're moving forward, you're gonna move that front leg first. So you're gonna move in. If you're gonna move out, you're gonna move this back leg. Same thing with dance. Boxing and dance are very similar. Now, what happens with Parkinson's is you're thinking about that first foot moving, but the second foot is usually the problem. So if you moved in, this one would snap in. Or if you go to move out, you have your weight back here and you can't get it out, so you have to shift, get that foot back, have your weight here so that you can move back and you can move in and you can move back. And so that's how we start people, is just this forward and back. Looks like dance, right? So, and back. Now, if we're gonna move to the side, I'll face you. If we're gonna move to the side, I'm gonna move this leg because it doesn't make sense to move this one. Now it looks like a fall hazard, right? So we're gonna move this direction. So we're gonna move that foot. And then we're gonna move here and we're gonna move this. Again, the problem is you're gonna step and then your foot is gonna wanna snap in. You go to step and there's a fall. So that's what we teach, is that you're able to really move with grace back and forth. You know, boxers are very graceful athletes, coming in and out, to the side and back. Those are learned habits, and it's all about reprogramming your stepping and keeping your weight over base so that you want to be here and not leaning, because all of those things create fall patterns. So it's reprogramming, and it's very doable. We train people in very advanced falling patterns to move gracefully. So the other thing is rotation. So all of your movement in dance and boxing comes from the ground up. So if you're in your boxing stance, and we have a more open posture with our boxing, so if you go to just a random boxing gym to learn how to box, they're gonna show you traditional boxing. Okay, so they're gonna be closed down like this because they wanna block and cover all their vulnerable areas, which is their neck and their sides. So they're gonna be like this. That is not how you want to learn to box if you have Parkinson's, because we want to get you out of this position and open. We want your sides open. We want your arms open, we want your neck long, and in this position, it's hard to rotate. If your thoracic spine is flexed, you can't rotate, so you've got to be in a tall posture, and we want that rotation. With Parkinson's, it's really hard to separate and then integrate all the different movements, so we teach it systematically so that you're generating that force from your foot through your hips. All movement goes through the hips and up to the ribs, and then only at the last moment that strike comes out. So this is just the delivery, because without this, you have no power. And that's the same thing in real life. So you keep bouncing down here, the generation of that force comes up through here, you're rotating your hip in, rotating through the rib ring, and finally that hand comes out. Same thing on your jab side out here. So your left hand, this one, is your jab. Okay, there's not a lot of rotation, there's some. There's not a ton because this hip is already forward. So let's just practice a few jabs. Jab, jab. Now you gotta bring it back to your face, because remember, we gotta protect this head. We don't want any strikes coming in. So a lot of times people, their force or their weight or gravity starts to pull down with Parkinson's, because that energy is gonna take you a lot more mindfulness and a lot more energy to keep your hands up than before when you didn't have Parkinson's. Or your counterparts that don't have Parkinson's, they can keep their hands up, but with PD, it's really hard. So you're gonna have to be a really strong athlete to be able to pull this off. So, but you can do it. All right, so you're gonna do your jab. So notice how that hip comes, and just putting it away, right up by my head, pushing it out, okay? Comes out. Knee comes forward, I'm turning around my base, okay? Same thing with dancing. You're gonna rotate around your spine. You're gonna breathe. That's your jab, 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 jab. Now, the other one is your cross. That's coming from behind, okay? So the cross, don't confuse it with a hook. It doesn't mean you're going across her face. A cross is just like a jab. It's a straight punch, but it's coming from behind you, so it's across your own body. That's your money shot. You have a lot of force with that. So that right cross is gonna have this hip power. Your toe is gonna come up, your knee is gonna come in, your hip is going to come in, your ribs are gonna rotate, and at the last moment, out and back. So that's your jab and cross. Now, all of the strikes are going to have this same rotation, and they're gonna be up high. Your opponent is not down here. Your opponent is here, because your opponent is Parkinson's. That's a big entity. So we want our strikes to be somebody at least as tall as us, or maybe a little taller. So our hook is gonna be a bent elbow. Here's your barometer of how far out. You're not gonna lean. You want it to be tight and rotate here and up high for your hooks. Same with your uppercuts. You're gonna come down, and your whole body is gonna generate that force. So here's your cuts, your hooks, blocks. All of the different strikes are going to happen through the trunk. So let's go ahead and do a really quick warm-up, and we do this every time in our class. We always do warm-ups just to make sure that we have our brain engaged with our strikes, that we're doing it correctly and not just throwing wild punches, because what's the point of that? The point of our classes is to make sure that you are sequencing and using all those little stabilizer muscles to perform a task, and that is how you keep from getting hurt. So let's go ahead and go through just a basic. So we're gonna go a jab and a cross. So your feet are in your good position. Jab, cross, jab, cross, jab. Now I'm snapping it back to my temple. You may not know this, but right now you're probably down here or you're out here. So you need a mirror. You need to watch yourself because your Parkinson's brain will not give you correct information. You need to see it or have a second pair of eyes. That's why our online videos are live, not pre-recorded, because we want to see you. We want to be able to correct you, okay? So guard up, hands on each side of the head, and we're gonna do a jab and a cross, jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. Notice my whole body is rotating. Jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross, jab, cross. Okay, then the hooks, hook, hook. Now I'm actually obscuring my face. I'm coming right up here because my opponent is here, right? So up here, so if you're just watching this video and down here, that's not teaching you anything. It's not getting your shoulders up here. It's not helping you rotate. You have to look in a mirror. So hook, 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 hook. Notice I tuck it away every time. Tuck it away, tuck it away. Hook, 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 hook. And your cuts are gonna come up and you're gonna use those glutes. So you're gonna come up, cut, cut, cut. Now if you're just doing this, it's not the same. There is no power behind this. And I know when you're trying to do a task or learning it at first, it's gonna look like that, but keep practicing. Cut, cut. We work with you to make sure that you're getting all the good stuff and that you're getting your hands up and that the power is generated from here, because that is what it's gonna take to slow down a Parkinson's and to help you with the outside world and all of the different activities. It's not about your arms, ever. It's about the whole system and training you functionally so you can move quickly and get tasks done by using your core. So that is my video for today. It's a great starter. There is so much more in our classes. We take you through a whole boot camp, but we are live so we can see you. Anyway, practice that, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.